So wa in kuntum junuba, okay, junuban. So now, and if you basically have an orgasm, so now you are unclean, okay? You are unclean, is what Allah is saying here. So in a state of ceremonial impurity. This is like the most professional way to say you have ejaculated or you had an orgasm in English. So this applies to women and men, but this is the most professional way to say it. But what this is actually saying in English and in Arabic, junuban, but junub can mean many other things depending on context, like on your sides and so on. But in this context, it is clear what it means. That means you have had an orgasm or a wet dream or whatever in those kind of contexts. So let's be very realistic. For a guy, sperm has been ejaculated. Okay, we don't need to hide, we don't need to be shy about this topic. This is very obvious, and this is not a sin depending on how it's done. It is a sin if you're doing zina and whatever and all that. That's a completely different subject. But the point is, that is what it's saying here. What does Allah say? Fatahharu. This is the verb tahara, to clean yourself, purify yourself. So the idea to be clean and form five. Okay, so fatahharu. So that's why it's doubled here. So you wash your. So the question is, what does this mean? And we're gonna see the answer of this in Surah 4, verse 43 very soon. Okay, we're gonna come back to this. This is, guys, this is actually the most important part we're coming to. This first part is the easy part, the instruction of what we should do. We all agree, move on. Okay, we should. This is not a
Yeah.
no-brainer. This everyone knows it. This is where it gets debatable. This is where you're gonna get a lot of questions, and even maybe you guys right now need the answers. Oh, what happens if I do this? Can I do my salah? Or do I break my salah? Do I do it? Trust me, guys, this right here is huge to understand this. So they're gonna be like, what does this mean? Fatahharu. What do you mean by that? Well, let's see. Okay, remember, we're coming back to this word. Okay, that's one. So if you ejaculated, or if you're a woman, so don't think it's only guys. Women can do this. We're not women, but think outside the box. They can have orgasms. Same thing for them. Okay, it doesn't have a special liquid or something like that like we do, but there is some other stuff that does excrete, that comes out. Okay, women do have this. They have the rights to do it too, and there's certain conditional ways. Okay, we have to be realistic. Okay, but we'll come back to this. Okay, so that's that one exception rule. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's go like this. Exceptions or conditions. Boom, like this. Boom, and we go orgasm, male slash female, purify yourself, meaning equals 443. All that, you guys are going to understand this very soon, what I just wrote here. That's the first condition, exception. Second, this is a very huge one. Okay, and ironically, I have another person that I'm talking about literally about this right now, and I'll explain all that soon. Okay, well, in kuntum marda. Okay, so if you're ill, okay, if you're ill, so then there's ill, sick. Okay, ill, sick, just so that others can understand that. Aw ala safar. Okay, you are on a journey. So, or journey. What happens? Okay, and or ja. Okay, so someone has came to you. Ahadun minkum minal ghair. This is very important. Okay, so somebody came out of the toilet, huge one, or came. Let's just write came out of toilet. Okay, and this is a big word. Putting a little thing here, a little asterisk. Let's put a. Let's go. Let's like that. Or okay, lamas. Oh, this is gonna get deep right now. I didn't think it was gonna get this deep, but okay. Let's bring out one more level and like that is another one. Or this is a very important word. La mastum nisa. Okay, this is a very interesting word. So you have touch, contact. This could be both sexual or not, or contact. So touch or to have contact. Woman. Okay, very interesting. Okay, this is deep, and I'm going to explain all this very soon. This could be, uh, sorry, hair contact woman, sexual or not. Okay, it's both. Okay, and what does it say? And did not and then cannot find water. Tayammamu, very famous word. Tayammamu. Then do tayammam. This is what. So what is tayammamu? Okay, it's very important to know this word because all Sunnis know this word. Let's just use this one. Exactly. So here for all these, boom, tayammum. Okay, so when I say tayammum, you should automatically know what that means. Meaning, this is a common word. Okay, so it is you take soil and you rub your face and hands only. So let's just go here. You take soil, sa'ida, so soil, earth, tayyiba, clean. So clean soil. Let's just write clean soil so that you understand. Okay, clean soil. And what do? Same thing as your head and your feet. Okay, same verb. Fa'amsahu. Exactly what B. Wujuhihikum. So your faces and your hands. Minhu. With it. Very simple. So what do? What does that mean? So let's say you can't find water. So let's go here. So boom, boom, boom. This occurs. Can't, and I'm gonna put it like this. Can't find water. Very important. Then tayammum, clean soil, and what do? You rub/wipe faces and hands only. Okay, very simple. Okay, let's keep it simple with minhu. Okay, from the soil, clean soil. Okay, ma yuridullah. Allah does not want li yaj'ala alaykum min haraj. So Allah does not want any hardship for you guys, all of us. Alhamdulillah. Walakin yuridu. However, Allah wants to liyutahhirakum. Like I was saying, Allah wants to purify us. This whole point of this, like I was saying from the beginning, it's all about being super clean. Why? Because Allah loves clean. Clean, clean, clean. Like our body's clean. Okay? We have a clean body. We're conscious of our hands are clean. Wash your hands, wash this. Be clean. So Allah wants this. Yuridu. Allah wants this. Okay? Allah wants us to be clean. Huge. Okay? وَلِيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكُمْ. And He wants to perfect His ni'mah, His favor, His appreciation, and so forth upon us by being clean. Alaykum. And here's the reason. And this is super huge. And this is going to answer what you said. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Okay, so that you are grateful. You say thanks. So after you're done your wudu, okay, even though the word wudu was never mentioned this whole time, but we're using a word for this. So ablution. At the end, you say Alhamdulillah, what you just said, like you are being appreciated, right? Alhamdulillah, like you said, but also say thank you, Allah, for teaching me how to be clean. It's a simple thing you can add.
I see.
You want to be thankful to Allah because why are we doing all of this? And we didn't even know about all of this until Allah taught us this here in the beginning.
It's a purification tool.
This is all for Salah. Right? So this is the whole point is for Salah. But Allah wants us to be clean and He wants us to be grateful. He wants us to say thank you for teaching us this knowledge. And if just to end this, we have to go to the next because it says here, وَلِيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكُمْ. So the purpose is to perfect His ni'mah upon you. What is this perfection here? The next verse explains it. Ni'matullah. What is this favor upon us? Remember the favor upon you? Alaykum. Thaqahu. And His covenant. Alladhi wathaqakum. That He has binded you, or He has taken this oath with you, with it. And we're going to get, what is that oath? إِذْ قُلْتُمْ سَمِعْنَا. We said we heard Allah, we heard, وَأَطَعْنَا, and we obeyed. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلِيمٌ بِذَاتِ الصُّدُورِ. So we have, if you haven't, you should say, Allah, we heard and we obeyed. But this famous sentence, okay, so this is verse 7, okay? Allah's giving us this because of very smart of me. It's in Surah Baqarah before the last verse. So the last verse is 286. So before that verse is 85, okay? Very important. Amana Rasul. Okay, let's just go to the famous exactly.
Yeah.
Amana Rasul. Okay, so
Yeah, yeah, beautiful.
the messenger has believed bima unzila ilayhi min rabbih, what has been revealed to him from his Lord. Wal mu'minun, that is us. Okay, that includes this is not past, present, future. This is all time, obviously. Kullun, each one of us, all of them. The Rasul, us believers. Amana billah, we believed in Allah. Wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi, and his books. Okay, in plural, huge, huge. Okay, wa kutubihi wa rusuli, in plural, messengers. We make no division. Okay, division, not distinction, division. La nufarriqu bayna ahadin min rusuli. And this is where it comes from the original. Qalu, okay, they said sami'na wa ata'na. So we have to, you guys should all say this verse. Anyone who's read the Quran you should have read this, and then you have to say it. Okay, ghufranaka rabbana wa ilayka al-masir. We hear what? What did we hear? The words of Allah. We're hearing this. We are obeying this. Not we're obeying 90%. No, we obey all. Okay? And that is further elaborated in Surah 3, verse 7, that I think all of you also know very well. Okay, you know the famous verse where you don't the mutashabihat verses and the muhkamat verses, the verse there are on the verses that are precise or
Yeah,
muhkamat,
yes,
and the
there is
very
a lot.
famous. I know you guys all know this, but what does the rasikhuna fil ilm, those who are well founded in knowledge, they say amana bih kullun min indi rabbina. Everything is from Allah. We don't say, oh no, there's this one tiny verse that I don't really agree. No, I don't. You don't believe in Allah. You're not us. We believe in absolutely every little punch. Everything is from Allah, and everything is a gift from Allah, right? وَمَا يَدَّكَّرُونَ, and no one's gonna remember this illa except the highly intelligent ones. Okay, ulul albab, the ones that are well founded in intellect. Okay, so it's very important. So I know we kind of jumped off stuff, but it's very important to know all what I just said and everything I just said here. We're gonna just quickly go over some points that are very hard and or somewhat hard. Okay, so 5 verse 6 has this, and let's go back here. Now let's go boom, 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 and the purpose is to be pure slash clean, which is what Allah wants. Okay, and perfect Allah's ni'mah, let's say favor, okay, plus which we're gonna see that exactly. This is the mithaq, okay, this right here, this one, and to say thank you Allah. Huge, huge stuff. Okay, this is the purpose of doing the wudu. Okay, so to be clean, obviously, perfect Allah's favor, and what is this one is mithaq. The mithaq, okay, the covenant that we have, which is we hear,
Oh, got it. Yeah.
we
Obey.
obey. All Allah words. Keep it something simple, okay? You guys know what I'm saying here, okay? So this was 5 verse 7 equals 2. This is not like that. Go like this, stack, 2. So, guys, so what do you guys have to know? Obviously, what I'm doing right here, but in simple terms, one verse, 5 verse 6, but it's filled with knowledge, right? Filled with knowledge. So I'll be like, what are the main steps? Easy answer. You guys should all know that. So that's not hard. What's hard is here. What are the exceptions? That's what makes you the person that they want to talk to, right? You know what can you not do? You know, like what you should like. I was sick. Okay, it's fine. You're sick. You have been exempted from doing salah. It's fine. You're sick. You're ill. You're on a journey. You know, very easy stuff. Okay, and you came out of the toilet. What does this mean? Thank you for correcting that. Sorry. Thank you. Big correction, guys. Yeah, from like you're sick from doing the wudu. Okay, exactly. Exactly. So this is the one that's very important. What does that mean? So coming out of toilet, what does that mean? Peeing, right? Obviously, that's one. Taking a number two, pooping, right? Obviously, that's coming out of that's part of the ghaith. What else does people do in the bathroom? Farting.
Farting.
Now you can say, well, I don't fart. I don't fart just in the bathroom. I could walk outside, and you are guaranteed to do it here if you're doing a number two, right? If you're gonna poop, you're gonna fart. When this happens, you redo your wudu. Whatever's in the ghaith, okay, so hold on, let's just go. So after we done the ka'bayn, and now if you are in these situations, junuba, okay, and then you have to clean yourself, okay, so you have to do this washing yourself, okay, wash yourself for this state. And if you are, look how Allah wrote this, okay, if you are sick, or if you are on a journey, or if you are one of you came out of the toilets, or was related to that world, like I just explained, or this one that we're going to talk about on the woman, because the wudu was all about water, right? So this means you have to, but Allah, the way Allah wrote it is so cool that it shows that you still have to do your wudu. That's fine, but I really, it should be common sense. But what happens if you don't find water?
Yeah.
It's like a cool way of saying, look, you still have to do your wudu. If you have all this, you do your wudu. But if you can't find water, you do this in all those situations. Okay, now we're gonna get to. So let's just clarify what are the conditions here on the ga'it, al-ga'it. Okay, so there's urination. Let's use proper word, urination. Then there's defecation. Defecation. That's how you say poop. Okay, properly. And I forgot how to say fart. Gas. Let's use gas. So this one is the most debated. Gas, farting. Yeah. This is a typical question. This is where you need the hadith to explain. No, you don't. You don't need none of that. You have the Quran, and it's very logical. Like whatever comes out of the toilet. Yeah, so it's obvious. So it's obvious when you realize, bro, what is happening in the bath? Do you do that or not? Yes, I do it. It's like, is it no? You have to. It happens, and it guarantees to happen if you're gonna do this one. Okay, let's just talk about this one. This is a big one. Okay, or touch or to have contact. La mastum an-nisa. Okay, the woman. This is a huge one. I had a lot of debates with my mom and my wife on this one. Okay, a lot. When we are doing Juma in my house, and there's my mom and my wife are there, so they're the women's, right? We don't touch each other, the skin ever, because we have to understand a woman and a man. We have we're different, right? Even our electrical pulse, everything. There's a different. The women are softer, gentle, weak, very different. If you can literally get turned on by touching a woman, if you're like really, restraining, and all that. It's very important. So now my wife and my mom were telling me you're way too extreme, but me personally, how I see it is that when you done your wudu, okay, when you do these steps, okay, like I said, it's this symbolic. You're in a holy state right now. Once you have accomplished this, you are right now, like, remember these 4 steps properly, like this. You are now permissible to be in contact with Allah, right? It's very important. If you don't have this, you are not permissible to be in contact with Allah. Does that mean Allah's not going to listen to you? Of course not. Allah's everywhere. So now in the salat perspective, if Allah is saying that this woman, don't touch her, because she's in her own electrical world, there's things you don't see. You are visually something different in Allah's eyes. Even if it's your mother, she's a woman.
Okay.
Not a mother.
Yeah,
whatever's a woman.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
And like I said, this is what I do. Okay, personally, I had this debate for many months with my mom. Many months, because she is my mom. She's gonna touch me. She has no restrictions over me. She can do whatever she wants. She can punch me, whatever. She's my mom. She raised me, and she's a great mom too. So putting this in front of her was I'm telling you guys, this is what happened in my world. Real talk. Really interesting is that salah becomes very special when we're in the room. Yeah. And that shows that women are very special in another. This is not showing women are dirty. No. Very important to realize that this does not mean that, because then the woman can say the same thing for the guy. Oh, I can't touch you. You can have women with you.
Sorry.
You can pray with a woman.
But don't
Okay.
touch her. Yeah, both of
But
them are you are both in a sacred state. And when we get to Hajj eventually at one point, because we're not obviously during the Salah masterclass, but and Hajj, you have a time where you are ihram or you wa antum hurum, when you are in a state of being haram, like being sacred, not in the sense of being forbidden. Meaning you do have restrictions. You have a special state when you're in this mode. How they show that in Masjid al-Haram when they do Hajj, you're dressed in white. So that's how they show it. And that's very logical to do something like that. But once you're not dressed like that, you can do certain rules. So there is this concept of being Super Saiyan versus regular in the Quran. You know, you're special versus not normal. So remember, we're in a time where we have sinks, right? Water comes out of the sink and all that, right?
Yeah.
But when this verse was revealed and before this and so on, water was the way you're describing all the time, normal. People don't have access to water like we do nowadays. So the way you did wudu back in the days is exactly what you're saying. They would grab the water, they pour, like you would have you make a little cup in your hand, right? And let's say you take for your right hand and you take your left hand and you pour the water, okay? You have a little tiny gap of water, right? That, and then you put the bottle down, you take that with your two hands and you have like a little nice little puddle of water in your hand, and that's how you just wash your face there. And then you do the same thing for your hands to your elbows. And then for the heads and the feet to the ankles, it's almost the same, but you don't put that much water. You just put a little bit so it just goes all over your hand and do it. So you have a lot of water left. You can have a lot of water still. It's using not that much, but one is showing that there's more water for the other. What this shows is all priority to Allah alone. Yeah, and let's actually add those verses, okay, on a ill journey. So there is, we're gonna get to this, and for 103. Okay, guys, we have we have so much stuff to go through in Islam. I'm actually thinking that we might even have to do this one on level 3. So, okay. So we didn't see one thing that's very important. Okay, wa in kuntum junaban. So when you have had an orgasm, fatahharu. Okay, so what is that? So what is fatahharu? So clean yourself, purify yourselves. What does that mean? Okay, you can say, oh, I can wash myself. So what? Or you had a wet dream, your whole body's like dirty, and people say, oh, take a shower. Okay, how do you know that? So now we go to Surah 4, verse 43. Again, this is another one. Yeah, you had amanu la taqrabu salah. Do not approach salah prayer while you are intoxicated. Very interesting verse. First of all, Allah saying that you are allowed to be intoxicated, but not while you are doing salah. And it also tells you hatta, until you know, okay, ta'lamu ma taqulun, that you know what you are saying. Okay, so very huge. So that means, okay, you were intoxicated. What does that mean? This is a deep, interesting verse, okay? And this is an important condition. So you cannot be doing salah if you're drunk, if you take in other types of substances, and so on. However, if you did drink or whatever, and you have come back to your senses, meaning you actually know what you're saying, you are allowed to do salah. The reason why this is important is because the Sunni world tells us that if you drink alcohol, you cannot pray for 40 days or something like that, or 30 days. I forgot what the number is. They have a special rule for intoxications like that. But however, Allah is saying no, it's just until you know what you are saying. So this is for people that are in low level phases in life, or lower, like, they're still going through the struggles of stuff. I don't know, they're depressed, or they're taking drugs and this and this and that. There's all that types of people in the past. But the point that this rule that I'm telling you guys is important to know, that because it exists. This is a very big topic in the Sunni world, only for those guys that bring it up. But If ever you across this, like, no, bro, if you drank and you want to change now, do it. Because the point is, Allah wants you to because we're gonna see that in the purposes later, but the one of the major main purposes is to remember Allah. So if you're drunk or whatever or intoxicated, you are forgetting Allah, but then you realize I need to I remember Allah. You feel like I need to do salah, and they're like, no, I'm not clean, or no, 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 I drank, and no, no, no. Shaitan is getting into you, so you don't do salah. And that's deep. And that's his goal, by the way. And we're gonna see all that later on, anyways. Okay, just wanted to bring this out first. So there are important. So now we get here, over here. So 443. And now we're gonna put 443. Oops, here. It's actually already here. Let's go like this. So there's a rule for don't approach salah while intoxicated until you know what you are saying. Huge. Okay. Again, guys, remember, you're out. Everyone's goals here within the next couple of months. You guys are gonna be. You should be masters of this. Illa yasha Allah, and Allah's gonna bring you people. Trust me. It's always gonna be like this knowledge you have is not useless. It's the one of the most valuable knowledge ever that's been restricted for a thousand plus years, and now we're being fully instructed, and hopefully one day you guys are gonna instruct this to others, and this is, if Allah told us this, it's gonna happen. Okay, so remember that there's that, and this is where we touch the orgasm verse. So 5 verse 6. Let's go like this. Boom. And oops. Where was it? What am I doing? Oh yeah, right here. Okay. So good. Okay, we're good. Here we go. Okay. And now it says wala junaban. Look how Allah does that. Okay, wa antum sukara hatta ta'lamu ma taqulun wala junaban illa ghabiri. So except and not janaba. Okay, so it's the same, and not the state of orgasm, except those passing through. This is interesting. So that means you are in this state of how do you say it, orgasm, and this is where it gets really interesting. Okay, this whole, how Allah wrote this whole entire section right here. Okay, until you washed, or it says hatta taghtasilu. Okay, taghtasilu. Let's go. Let's just go into the direct one so you guys can see the verb here. Okay, so right here. Okay, so this is the major part here. Let me do F11. Okay, so you can have a bigger view of this section. So this section right here, I'm gonna get out of F11. Let's go back to F5 verse 6. So this is where there's a QTC, guys. And you have to understand, if there's like a special QTC like this, that means there's something really important here. So I mean, all of this is important, but there's something even more deeper in it, all of this. So wa in kuntum junaban fatahharu. So if you are in a state of orgasm and so on, so on, clean yourself. What does that mean? And then it explains here. So not in this, so not being in this state, except you are abiri. It's a very interesting word, right? It's like a very it's a very interesting word used only uniquely like this. Everywhere else is connected to, as you saw earlier, to ibara, so to lessons, except as abiri sabilin, like a special type of path that you're passing by. So in a special passing path. So meaning, what does that mean? So that means you have had an orgasm, and Allah saying there's an exceptional rule. So you're passing by this condition that you're in, and to basically get clean from this, you have to, here, and it finally says taghtasilu. This is the verb form 8 of this, to do ghusl. Okay, and this is the same verb for washing your face and hands that we saw before, but this is in the form 8. This literally means like a form of bath. So in other words, if you go back here, 5 verse 6, when you're in this state of ejaculation in a guy's sense, and same thing for a woman, the tahiru, so fatahharu, so that you have cleaned yourself, meaning you have taken a shower. I hope I didn't totally confuse you guys, but all to say that when you have this state, you have to take a shower. What does shower mean now? What does that mean to take a shower? Let's say you're waking up from a wet dream, okay? And you wake up, what happens? You know, your lower part everywhere. So how did people in the back in the days take a shower? They didn't have like we do, so they had like rivers, they had like human old school bath, they had like water buckets, right? And they have a little bucket, another little bucket inside. They take the water and they pour over their body or certain places of their body. That was the old school way of taking a shower. It was like that for the longest time. And now we have like a shower head, professional, clean. This one is actually, if you're lower part of the body, so this is way, so illa abiri sabilin. So it's a very interesting expression. Okay, so let's actually like look how some of them actually say this part. So except those passing through like a place until you have done the wash. Let's look at some of these guys how they use this. Save when journeying upon the road. So meaning there's an exception when you're traveling. That's actually cool. That's true. Okay, so let's say that if you have had an intercourse, an ejaculation, and you're or a wet dream, or and so on, and you are abiris sabidin, that's an exception. Illa hatta taghtasilu, until you've done this. This is what you have to do to be back in the state of doing salah, meaning you have to do your wudu, which we're gonna get back. Look at the other people how they say this. So he doesn't even write it. So under an obligation to perform the bath until traveling on the road. Okay, so there you go. Until traveling on the road, unless you're traveling on the road. That's another way to say it is true. And so they're all pretty much saying the same thing on this. So the point that I'm trying to make here, guys, is very important. Is that when you do have junub orgasms, that particular area it has to be fully washed. That's all this really saying, especially right here, taqtasidu. But it's important that we have the proof, because the word fatahharu, this just means like to purify. But how do you purify? What does that mean to fully be clean? Is because of this verse here. Okay. And now the next part, وَإِن كُنْتُم مَرْضَىٰ, so same thing as the previous verse. أَوْ عَلَىٰ سَفَرٍ, same thing as the previous verse. أَوْ جَاءَ أَحَدٌ مِنْكُمْ مِنَ الْغَائِطِ, so same thing as the previous verse from the toilet, exactly like 5 verse 6. أَوْ لَمَسْتُمْ النِّسَاء, so same thing as the last verse. Same thing, same exact exception. So this right here is proving that they're interconnected, right? 5 verse 6 and 443. It's exactly the same way to do it. But look how Allah ends here. Inna Allah kana afuwan ghafura. This is huge. So that
Yeah,
means if you forgot to do your wudu, or did it wrong, or came to Allah, you accidentally farted, it's afuwan ghafura. Rare attribute, okay? It's rare, okay? So this one right here, so it says here, here. So this means Allah definitely pushes it. Allah afu. He has, remember, afu is with shirk. That afu is what takes away shirk, right? That's huge. So that means Allah can easily push this away, and He has been kana afuwan ghafura. He's always been like this. But obviously, guys, we're here to impress Allah, right? We're here to be the best, right? We want to do it, but just remember, Allah is very. Remember what He says. Remember in this verse, He goes, "Ma yuridullah liyaj'ala alaykum min haraj." Allah doesn't want this to be hard for you. Okay, He does not. So that means if things get like, oh man, hana, guys, do your best, but no, but Allah has said He is afuwan ghafura here. Amazing, right? That doesn't mean you can be lazy and skip. Obviously, guys, try to be your best, but it's okay if you make a mistake here. However, it doesn't mean you didn't, Allah like threw it away in the garbage. Of course not. You know, it's Allah's definitely. This is beautiful. So that's why Surah 443. The way He ends it is huge. So you have Allah is always going to be pardoning. Anyone who's actually getting into this level are normally pretty special, somewhat special. You know, they're at least taking this seriously. Allah, let's just put that here. Allah knows what is in your chest.
Your chest.
Sudur, okay, it's within your chest. All right, guys, we're good. We're on that. Now, questions. What are the main things you need to know here? 2 verses only, okay, and 5 verse 6. Now, what's the tricks? Let's look at the tricks. 5 verse 6, like I said, sequence. It's the only one like that has this instructions here. It's the only one that has the key instruction. Okay, this right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's highlight that because the other one does not have this, right? Okay, so number wise, you just engrave this inside your mind. That's good. That's actually a powerful way. Okay, so how would you guys remember 4 verse 43? So I'll give you guys my tricks here. One thing is like, if you know 5, 6, you should know right away that it's right before 5. So that's 4, right? 4, 5, 6. Easy. 4, 5, 6. And then it says 4, 3. What is that? 7. So 4, 5. So 5, 6, 7. There's a little, but you can be confused with, I don't want to write it, but 34, right?
Everything.
4 verse 34, right? This happens. Something you're going to be like, wait, was it 4 verse 34 or verse 43, right? Looks almost the same, right? Surah 4 verse 34 is also a really debated verse, a very huge verse. This verse, oops, is about the hitting of the woman, right? The famous verse where you the situation. Very huge verse. So the men are like the responsible for the woman because they spend the wealth and so on. But then if they're disobedient, it's a huge verse. This is a very, they call it a controversial verse, but there's an explanation behind this, and there's a very logical thing. We're not gonna get into it, but you can easily be confused with this number because it's just the opposite, right? Way of writing it. So just know that the other one, 3, 4, were in order. That one is the one that has those conditions. This is the wudu, the opposite. So at least try to remember both. Okay, just letting you guys know. And they both have almost the same. They both have the same exceptions. Okay, let's go right here. Same exceptions of 5 verse 6. And really, the main thing that you really need to know is just 5 verse 6. But what are the conditions? Like, what are this? And what are the exceptions in conditions? Sorry. And so on. That's all. Okay? 443. Don't forget this. And this is probably going to be the question that I'm going to ask you guys. But it's easy. It's only just 2. Okay? There's 2. Okay?